When the Jews return to Zion and a comet rips the sky, and the Holy Roman Empire rises, then you and I must die. From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother till man exists no more. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Colton Jenkins.
and this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. In honor of the latest film in the long-running horror franchise hitting theaters this Friday, we are discussing one of the creepiest movies ever made, 1976's The Omen. Richard Donner's first of several masterpieces and the third film of the so-called Big Three of the iconic devil movies behind 1968's Rosemary's Baby and 1973's The Exorcist. For some reason, this one has always creeped me out more than the other two. I don't know if it's just the
Hmm.
realistic storytelling, the characters who all seem to be like believable enough for this to be real. It's Jerry Goldsmith's insanely creepy score. There's a lot going on here that just works. Not that Rosemary and The Exorcist aren't absolute classics on their own with that are also, very scary. The Omen just personally has always affected me more than those other two. What was your history with this film, if any?
I have not seen this movie before. I watched Rosemary Baby. It was a recommendation from you. I was home alone one night and I was like, hey, I want something creepy to watch. My parents always had Rosemary's Baby, but they always told me it's like the scariest movie they've ever seen. And I kind of agree. I thought Rosemary's Baby was scarier than The Omen. Um, but this movie was great. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Truly.
With these three films, I don't know what it was about. Like Satan was on the brain in the in the 70s and 80s. It was like these movies happened, and then all of a sudden it was in heavy metal, and now it was in the daycare, and lives were destroyed. We've never really explored the satanic panic in a way I'd like to. There's not really a movie to use to discuss that, and this is not a history podcast, so regrettably, there's no way to do that. But it is a conversation I love having because it infuriates me to talk about that. Uh,
Yeah.
Watch the documentary "Satan Wants You" that's on Tubi. That covers the whole ordeal very thoroughly. Um, but I feel like all three of these films all handle a certain aspect of like the devil intruding in your life.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby tackles the paranoia. The Exorcist tackles the physical pain, and The Omen tackles the inevitability.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, and all three do such a phenomenal job with their zone that they're just three fantastic movies.
Yeah, man. I think that's why Rosemary's Baby scared me more than The Omen, just because the thought of, I don't know, people knowing something that you don't know, like a big secret, no, they're all in on it. That is so fucking scary. Not knowing who to trust, being alone when not alone. Oh my God. That's awful.
Yeah, the idea of like everyone's in on the joke except you and you don't know who to trust, that's a very relatable
Yeah.
fear and a very terrifying one.
Yeah.
The Omen goes there too, because Robert Thorne's whole life since the birth of his kid
Yeah.
has been manipulated against his will to
Yeah.
position Damien in a position of power to become the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And once he finds that out, it's like all bets are off.
Well,
And
it is 100% his fault.
yeah, you don't do that. Oh my God. The beginning
Yeah.
of this movie is one of the most disturbing decisions you could ever make to betray your wife's trust like that.
I know. Holy shit. And the fact that she never finds out, dude.
Yeah, not once. It's a little in the remake. She has she has an inkling that something's not right here. That this kid is not 100%. She's a little like concerned. She still doesn't find out, but she almost finds out.
Mm.
Uh yeah, we'll get into it, but yeah, Christ. So my question to you is fairly simple. Do you believe in the devil?
So I don't think I'm a very religious person. I don't believe in God. I do find religion very interesting. I like learning about different kinds. I've even talked about like Satanism, but Satanism doesn't they don't worship the devil. Um, I don't believe in the devil as like a being, but I definitely think evil exists in the world. I think I don't like to think about, the question like, is man inherently evil or is man inherently good? Because that's way too heavy, and I don't want to get heavy right now. But it this is gonna sound really fucking stupid, but it's like Santa Claus, you know? Like maybe way back in the day, someone was so evil that people started following, that like mindset and you know, because I feel like saying satanic imagery has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So mythology comes from somewhere. So maybe at some point, yeah, someone was like that bad, and just had that charisma, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so not really, but yeah, I believe in like the power. Like, okay, I'll put it this way: I don't believe the devil is a real person, but I think people can act on behalf of the devil and it be like real. Like if someone like in that movie The Conjuring,
Yeah.
that dude was full of shit. But like if someone truly was like, no, the devil told me to fucking kill someone and say like shit, okay, I believe that you're a schizophrenic person, but you're still acting on evil energy, if that makes sense.
I see the devil as more of a scapegoat. Like
Yeah.
bad shit happens, and people who are afraid to take responsibility for their actions have to blame something,
Yeah.
and they choose to blame the devil. But if you look at the story, what exactly did the devil do that was so bad? I mean, picture this. You're at home, minding your own business, and your dad comes home with an ant farm and says, "These are my new children, and I want you to love them as much as you love your brothers." And you're like, "The ants? No, I'm not going to do that, Dad. That's crazy." And
Yeah.
Dad responds in kind. He completely cuts you off and throws you out of the house and never speaks to you again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you are yeah, you'd be a little peeved, particularly at the fucking ants that your
Mm.
dad just randomly decided to bring home and call his new kids. That's pretty much
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. Even if you are religious, like the story of Satan, the story of I guess Lucifer is incredibly tragic. Like that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Um, I've always wanted to read Paradise Lost because it's that story. It's Satan being cast out of heaven, but it's from his perspective, and that is so fucking cool.
Have you seen the Netflix series Lucifer?
No, but that's because I always thought I didn't like cop shows, but I've been watching The Rookie lately, so I might.
It's exactly that. It's Lucifer Morningstar was cast out of heaven for rebelling against God. He rules hell. And he's eventually like, I don't want to do this job anymore. So he goes to LA and starts solving crimes. But in reality, he's a misunderstood guy who just wanted his father's love and attention, never hurt anybody, doesn't kill people, has the power to make people tell them his like their deepest desires, and he uses that to help this hot detective solve crimes. And he
Mm,
tells everyone he's the devil, but no one believes him. They just think he's this kind of wacko eccentric. But it's hilarious to see the idea of like when you really think about Lucifer, it's what God's the bad guy in this story.
yeah.
If you look at I mean, more people have been killed in the name of God than the devil.
Mm,
That's a fact.
yeah.
Whenever you hear about some religious nut job, it's very rarely the devil made me do it. It's God told me to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks their version of God is paramount, and they're going to kill in order to make that clear. I've rarely, if ever, heard of people killing in the name of the devil.
Yeah. Not very often.
No. And what is
Um,
he really doing that's so bad? He's guarding the gates of hell. He's keeping all the bad people out of our lives. He's keeping all the demons at bay. He's the warden.
so my favorite, I don't know. Again, I don't believe in God or the devil as like
Yeah, me neither.
being, but yeah,
They're
but
story they're supernatural characters to me.
Yeah. But my favorite like canon is it literally makes no sense, you know, the most evil being be like the guardian and keeper of hell. So I like the thought that God is the keeper and guardian of hell. He rules both heaven and hell, and Satan is just a prisoner in hell. But he's like the Joker. He's like the max security for literally no reason other than just being like, "Fuck you, Dad."
Yeah, that's the Dante's Inferno approach. Like in the
Yeah,
ninth circle, it frozen in ice is the worst traitor who ever lived, Lucifer. And yeah, I guess, it's if you're God and you have the power to do anything, why do you let evil exist in the first place?
that's yeah, that's like one of the biggest arguments as to why I don't believe in God.
Yeah, me too.
I work in healthcare, and it's mind blowing to me that whatever you need. I'm not saying don't have faith, right? Whatever you need to get through, like watching a loved one go through some like really horrible shit. If you need, faith in God, that's fine. But just to be a asshole for a second, how can you sit there and be so religious? But if God exists, like he gave your best friend like lung cancer. Like your best friend blew up serving his country in the name of God. Like how is that? How can you still be religious? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I've never understood that. To like, I've been very vocal about how much I resent and detest organized religion of all
Mhm.
kinds, all of it, not just the Christian ones, but all of them. I think they're all nonsense that hurt people.
Yeah.
But people who take it so seriously that they have every aspect of their lives revolve around their religion. It's
Yeah.
like an abusive relationship.
It really is. Yeah.
And I don't get like what do you get out of that? What do you get out of prioritizing an admittedly fictional character over your family, over your relationships? Like what is to be gained? The promise of some eternal afterlife that like admittedly sounds kind of tedious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to end up in the same afterlife as fucking Joel Osteen and Pat Robertson. That sounds like hell. I don't want to do that. I'd rather be in the Inferno with all the fun people.
So, yeah. And then also like, if you want to get into like, oh, like what is sin? Imagine like you're fucking Jeffrey Dahmer. He dies and he ends up in hell and he's talking to some guy and he's like, "Hey, what are you in for?" He's like, "Oh, I killed a lot of people. What are you in for?" "Oh, I ate pork." It's like, "Oh, okay. That's cool." You
That
know?
that makes me laugh that there's no degrees. Like
No. Yeah.
murder and not honoring the Sabbath are on the same level
Yeah.
of punishment. It's like Azkaban and Harry Potter. It's like the murderers and the people who like cheat on their taxes
Yeah.
all go to the same like
Yeah.
soul sucking ocean prison.
Yeah, it's awful. It fucking, "Oh, I murdered and raped children. What did you do?" "I kissed a dude." "Oh, okay."
But you know what really pisses me off? If that child murderer truly repents on their deathbed, they go straight to the pearly gates.
Okay.
That's
So
some
I
more
went
shit.
yeah, I went to high school in Louisiana. Granted, it wasn't deep Louisiana, but it was still like the Bible Belt. And one of the things, high school kids, by the way, high school kids, if you have a kid in high school, they're a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but they would talk about how like over the weekend, I'm sure it was over exaggerated, but they're talking about how they were like, like smoking weed, drinking, fucking. But on Sunday, every Sunday, they repent because, they can do whatever the fuck they want as long as they repent. That makes no fucking sense to me. That makes no sense to me. And also, like, if you are a serial killer and you are like destroying families, just because before you die, you're like, oh, like, I repent for my sin, God, I believe in you, amen. Fuck you, no. No, asshole.
I hate organized religion. I hate how ingrained it's become into our culture, and I can't get away from it. How people who do not have my interests at heart socially are the people who are making decisions based on their faith, and that is psychotic behavior. And I
Yeah.
really wish we could understand that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, my brother is not straight. He's part of the LGBTQ community. Um, Him and his partner are wonderful people. And the fact that there is actually, the majority of people do not accept him pisses me off. Like, my brother is a wonderful person. Like, if anyone deserves to go to heaven, it's him. But because he's not, you know, straight white Christian male, he doesn't deserve to go in the after. That's bullshit to me. It's awful. I will say though, just to play devil's advocate, pun intended, I do find religion super interesting. Even like the boring ones, like Christianity, that shit's so fucking cool.
The
I
boring ones.
Yeah, even the boring ones, man. Like Christianity, that's fucking cool. Like you're telling me that there was a dude that led Jews out of slave. That's so fucking dope. That is so cool. Like the story of creation and Exodus. Exodus is one of my favorite stories. It's the only book of the Bible I've read as of right now, but it's one of my favorite stories. It's so good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a story.
It's a story, exactly. Yeah. I do believe, and I might be an idiot. But like bring up Santa Claus again because I feel like God and Santa Claus are kind of in the same boat. Sure, Jesus probably did exist at some point, but he doesn't anymore. He's dead. Like, okay,
I feel
you
like
know?
Jesus was less the son of God and more of a biblical Rodney King,
Yeah,
being like, "Hey, why can't we all just get along?" And they
exactly.
like
Yes,
fucking killed him.
yeah, exactly. I do think like historical religious figures existed,
Yeah,
but not God.
no, because
I'm
that's like,
sorry, but Mary was cheating on Joseph. Okay, like it is what it is.
yeah, that is 100%. Yeah, an entire like millions of people. If you count up everybody who's ever been killed in the name of God, all of it can be traced back to that lady who was like, "No, no, it was God. It wasn't your brother. It was God."
And gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, right there. That's what she did.
Yep, stuck with that lie forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, man. But I don't like. Okay, I don't hate religion. I hate religious people. Like when I lived in New York City, going to oh God, people are gonna destroy your podcast. St. Patrick's Cathedral, St. Peter's Cathedral. I don't know. It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I know that, you know, not the Catholic Church because they just like to touch little boys, but the church has helped a lot of people, I'm sure. And if that's what you need, that's great. But it's not for me.
I have no problem with God, just as I have no problem with Goku and Spider-Man and all the other storybook characters.
Yeah.
I have entirely the problem with people who manipulate God and Jesus's teachings to fit an agenda of theirs that they then force onto people who don't believe in those teachings, all under the umbrella of we know best.
Hmm.
Anybody who says they have the answers to eternity is lying to you. They don't know shit. I don't
No.
know shit. You don't know shit. They don't know shit. Nobody knows. It's whatever happens next is completely, out of the blue, going to be fascinating when it does happen.
Yep.
But anyone on this earth who says they know what's going to happen is trying to sell you something or trying to convince you that they're not a monster. So
Hmm.
I wash my hands of all that shit. All of it is a ruse. All of it is a cult. It's ridiculous, and I'm so glad I was raised outside of it.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Um, just to continue the conversation, I'll ask my question. I'll ask one of
Yeah.
my questions I have two. I'll ask the fun one first. Um,
Okay.
and then we'll get serious again at the end. So, if the devil, as the being, did appear in front of you, it was like, hey, bro, give me your soul, and I will give you demonic superpowers. What would you say?
Well, first I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You're not like, show me a miracle. Do something
If
devilish.
if it was the actual devil,
Yeah.
would you sell your soul to the devil?
If I was 100% certain, if Al Pacino from Devil's Advocate popped into my apartment and was like, "Wow, what do you know? What do you see?" And absolutely, yeah, 100%. But I mean, I better get the 10-year deal, and I better I better not get fucked over. It's better be like the like supernatural rules and not bedazzled rules, or I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, yeah,
All, all I know is like according to Bedazzled, if you sell your soul, you get 7 wishes, and if you at least use one of them to make somebody else's life better, the entire contract is null and void. You get your soul back. So, boom.
yeah,
Also, if I was faced with the idea that the devil is real and he's buying souls, if the devil's real, that means there's probably a very good chance God's real too. And in that case, I've got some repenting to do.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm not getting stuck on the Titanic. I'm getting a fucking lifeboat.
yeah. That's yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you can sit here and be like, "Oh, fuck all those people that like repent last second and then get into heaven." But I would do that. I would do the same thing.
If I had certainty that there is fire below if
Mhm.
the lifestyle I lead continues, and certainty that if I just say, sorry, I get to go to the cool nightclub in the sky, I'm gonna take it. If Dahmer can game the system, so can I.
Yeah.
The only serial killer I know for sure that has repented and has tried to dedicate themselves to God is David Berkowitz, the son of Sam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the son of Hope now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Love that.
Yeah, I wonder what all the victims' families think about that.
Mm.
If I was killed by David Berkowitz and then one day in heaven I just see him walking down the road, I'm gonna have words with the boss.
What is he doing here? Do you know what he did to me? It's like, yeah, but he accepted the Lord as a savior. It's like, oh, okay, okay,
So my
okay.
friend who sewed 2 different fabrics together
Yeah,
couldn't get in the
yeah,
gates, but he kills 10 people. Carte blanche. Okay, yeah, great.
exactly.
That's fair.
Um, okay, second question. So if someone, okay, if you had to, you have no choice, you have to pick a religion. Which one are you gonna join?
Wow. Okay. Um, well, I am technically ordained as a Dudist priest, which is the religion that popped out of the Big Lebowski. So
Ooh,
technically speaking, I can officiate weddings in some states.
that's
Um,
funny.
but if I had to get serious with it and commit to an actual faith, hmm, that is a that is an interesting question. Um, hmm,
So
yeah.
just to give you time to think. So my family is pagan, which if you're a Christian, that means that we're witches. Um,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. My grandma was Wiccan. Um, yeah. So if someone were to like say I have to choose a faith, I would choose that. And honestly, it makes the most sense. If you don't know what paganism is, we're just a bunch of hippies. We think God, not the being God, God as in like our creator is in its creation. You know, like the earth, every single human has a piece of God and all life is precious. That's what paganism is. That's what I would choose.
I can get on board with that. I don't
Yeah.
really dig the all life is precious part, but I can dig that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that would probably be one I would go with. I'd consider Buddhism. Um,
Buddhism. I do like Buddhism a lot.
yeah.
I've read a couple of books on Buddhism. I don't believe in well, I don't know. I want to believe in reincarnation, but I don't think you come back as another person. Um, I think you might come back as another living creature, maybe. Um,
There was a movie made in the 90s called Defending Your Life, which
hmm.
had the most brilliant depiction of reincarnation I've ever seen. This Albert Brooks gets killed in a he gets hit by a bus and he goes to this place called uh it's like Afterlife City or something like that. And he goes and he's judged by his performance in that life, whether he lived a good one, whether he was kind to people, whether he did the right thing, made the right choices, made good choices, important choices, and he's judged on the quality of life. And if he is judged poorly, he gets sent back to Earth to try again. If
Hmm.
he gets judged correctly, he gets to move on to heaven. And
Nice.
but you have no control over what your life's going to be once you go back. Like you are a blank slate, you start over, new life. And
That's interesting.
this is his like 10th time. And after 10 times, if you still haven't gotten it right, you get like erased.
I was As way before I like when I was still in high school, I was hanging out with my friend, and he was high on shrooms at the time, which is why the conversation started. But um, we had a crazy theory that reincarnation does exist. We had two theories. One, every person on Earth is just the same conscious being, like living over and over again. Um, and then another one is I thought this was really cool. So it's kind of the same thing. Like reincarnation is real, but instead, um, uh, okay, again, he was high in shrooms. So, like, different dimensions. If you lived a good life, you get to go on to the next step. And the whole point of everything is just to create like the perfect human race, you know? Yeah.
I remember hearing this one crazy, obviously stoner idea that we are all just uh microscopic cells that make up a larger universal being.
That's horrifying.
Yeah,
We could be in some dude's dick right now.
we could we could be in the left nut, we could be in the hair follicles on his ass, or we could be, in the brain. Maybe we're the smart ones.
Yeah.
Maybe all the dipshits in Florida or something are in the balls.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just it goes back to, nobody knows what existence means.
Exactly.
And I don't
Yeah.
respect anyone who claims to know. I speculate as much as you want, but anyone who says they know 100% why we're here, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, that's all religion is really. It's trying to answer why we're here.
Yeah,
You dedicate your life to that. How about you just fucking enjoy the time you have
yeah.
here?
Personally, I don't think there is a point. I think we're just here. I think we're a cosmic
Yeah.
accident.
Oh, but I want to preserve why?
The sanctity of life is not real. We made that up in the 80s. So it's yeah, I have yeah, I stand by this shit all the time. But yeah, if I had to pick a religion, I like the idea behind paganism. I like the Wicca religion. It makes sense if God was going to be anywhere, he would be or she would be in nature. Nature is life, it is
Yeah,
rejuvenation, it is that yeah, I believe that. So yeah,
exactly.
I can get on board with that.
My
I'm not going to any house. I'm not going to any like big building to compare clothing. So I'm not doing
no,
that.
no, no.
I'm not
My
donating. None of that shit.
my my uncle is a priest. I don't really know how to really define what it is he does. Minister maybe. But it's called Unity Church, which is
Mhm.
a really I think it's like its own kind of sect of Christianity, but they also seem really pleasant and cool. It's kind of the same thing as paganism. God is in their creation, but they are accepting of everything, and they take the Bible instead of being literal, it's figurative, which I also kind of agree with, you know. Um, so that's cool. Not all religion is bad, but it does form bad people.
Yeah, I just want. I respect the people who keep it to themselves, who
Yeah.
have their religion and they live their life accordingly, but they don't tell you how to live your life according to their beliefs. Those are the
Yeah.
people I can't fucking stand.
Yeah. No.
And those are the people I hear about the most when it comes to religion because they don't shut the fuck up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I had a guy try to convert me in college. He was a guy I was tutoring in math. I don't know why I was tutoring anybody in math. I don't know math. I knew more than he did apparently. And I met up with him a couple times, helped him pass some tests, but then he kept trying to get me to join his like young life group, Catholic group, and I told him no like three times. It got to the point where I had to cut him off because I was like, dude, I said no. I'm not joining your cult. Leave me alone.
God, that's funny. I just want to say it again because I love fucking bringing it up every chance I get. Our mutual friend was part of a fucking cult, and I love saying that because that's so fucking funny.
That's hilarious. Well, it's no, it's not. It's terrifying because it means that I didn't know them in the slightest, and that means I got to start vetting people a little better.
Yeah, yeah. It was an ex-host, by the way.
Yeah, if you've been listening for a long time and like you have a brain cell, you know who we're talking about. God. Um, I went to church last year for a reason, for personal reasons. It wasn't like I need to know. It wasn't like that. I didn't have a crisis of faith. I was just like, well, I want somebody to know I'm trying. So I went to church, and it was one of the most uncomfortable, creepiest experiences of my life because it was just like there's so much kneeling.
Yeah.
Everyone just knows the words to certain shit. A lot of robes. No one, there's no way that water's clean. So many fingers are putting like there's so many like if you're not born into this, it's all so weird.
Yeah.
And it's just I was looking around like, what? Who are you to judge me? You don't know me.
If you want to get like really deep into it, it's kind of because like most people I feel like don't choose to be religious. They are raised religious and they stay religious. It's kind of fucking creepy. I don't know.
Yeah, my family was briefly Mormon.
That's crazy. So was my family before they were pagan.
My grandma's father had passed away, and they were feeling especially vulnerable.
Hmm.
And my grandpa is very easily talked into things, and some missionaries showed up and was like, "Hey, have you heard about Moroni?" And he was like, "No, tell me about him." And that's how they ended up as Mormons. And they eventually left the church because mostly they didn't like. My mom told me she didn't like having to get up early. That was a big part of it. But the Mormon church at the time, not very pro woman. I don't think they've changed that stance much.
Yeah. No.
And there was magic underpants, and you couldn't
Mhm.
drink coffee. It's a weird one.
Yep.
That religion started in the 1800s based off a guy who said, "I found magic plates that no one else can look at." So, who was later beaten to death in prison for conning a bunch of people. So, is that's the savior?
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's yeah. I don't know. I have a lot of problems with religion. In case you
Yeah.
haven't caught on to that, but I love religious films.
Yeah.
Especially the horror ones because they go for broke, like The Omen, taking it back,
Yeah.
and the Omen, approaches religion as it's all true and you should have been paying attention,
Hmm.
which
I
is
will say, even if you're not religious, the idea of like demons
Mhm.
is still scary. Like, you know,
Well, in the Omen 3, we find out why Damien is here. Turns out he's not just taking over the earth, he's got to beat Jesus first.
oh my God.
Because Christ is reborn, he is risen, and he's coming back for round two. The original comeback kid is here to fuck shit up.
It's funny. What is it, a basketball game? No,
Oh my God. Space Jam with like God and the
my
devil. Sign me
God.
up. But yeah, that's Omen 3, but we'll get to Omen 3. Uh, well, that was a fun, very divisive conversation. It's probably going to alienate a lot of people who listen to this one. So thank you for participating in that. Um, my main sources for this episode are the featurettes available on the Shout Factory Edition Blu-ray of The Omen, which is available in a box set with the first four films and the 2006 remake. I also use IMDb trivia and Wikipedia to fill in the cracks, but those featurettes were very helpful. Richard Donner basically explained everything about this movie, so I'm very glad I had that. Um, the idea for The Omen began to gestate in 1973 after producer Harvey Bernhard had a discussion about the Bible with his friend Bob Munger. Basically, was like, well, "What about the Antichrist?" I'm sure they had just seen The Exorcist, and they were like, "Well, we got to
Yeah.
do something like that." Bernhard retained screenwriter David Seltzer, told him to start writing a movie about the Antichrist. Took Seltzer about a year to write a draft.
Hmm.
Warner Brothers, who had initially started this, took a look at the script and was like, "We're not making this," and turned it down, said, "Nope." So producer Alan Ladd Jr. at 20th Century Fox, he heard about this and was like, "Well, we'll make it. We're hip. We're progressive. We want some Exorcist money." Uh, so he acquired the script, brought on rookie director Richard Donner, future director of Superman, The Goonies, Scrooged, and the Lethal Weapon franchise. So very underrated epic
Nice.
director who I don't think
Yeah.
ever really got his due in Hollywood. I think a lot of people don't really know his name,
Hmm.
but he's made some amazing films. And The Omen's the one that really jump started his career.
Yeah.
Gregory Peck was the first one cast, and he took the role largely due to his own guilt over the recent suicide of his son Jonathan in 1975.
Oof.
Yeah. Peck saw the character of Robert Thorne, a father tortured with guilt, as something relatable and intriguing to him. And also his agent was like, Greg, you gotta work. You're wallowing. You gotta get your mind off this. Do something. And he wasn't Atticus Finch anymore. The roles weren't exactly pouring in for Gregory Peck in the 70s, so he had to take what he could get. And The Omen came across his desk, and he was initially hesitant because he didn't want to do a horror movie, but he read the script, saw it as more of a psychological thriller, came on board.
Nice.
Yeah. And I don't see what this movie is without Gregory Peck. He's kind of our emotional anchor in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is odd because he never really played very emotional characters. He's always been very stoic.
Yeah. He also, but he was kind of stoic in this movie also. He kind of seemed like the stereotypical man in that time period, just trying to keep it all together, and it's cracking, and it was so good.
Yeah, it's interesting to see somebody so wholesome and you know American. Like he was the one of the American icon actors who you could always count on to be the hero of a movie.
Hmm.
And to open with him doing something duplicitous against his wife and then making increasingly poor decisions and also having to reap the repercussions of all those decisions. And, you understood, like, yeah, you did this. You started this.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they started it when they caved in his newborn, but he participated later.
That was such a that was a twist for me. 'Cause
I
this is the first time I saw this. Holy shit! I cannot believe that this has been planned from the beginning. That's crazy.
I had forgotten that they had murdered his kid. I had forgotten about that. So that was actually kind of like, oh shit, yeah, wow. You don't see a lot of dead baby skeletons with the head caved in 70s
Yeah,
movies.
no,
That was new. Um,
we're new, we're hip.
really, you can kind of, Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist opened the floodgates for not just like bizarre fucking movies, but bizarre movies that were rewarded by the Academy and were huge box office successes. Because they weren't just all three of these movies were not just hits, they were award darlings. All of them won Oscars. Like so that validated a lot of these weird experimental freaky religious movies.
Yeah.
The studio was reluctant to cast clean-cut Gregory Peck as a would-be child killer, because that's basically what almost happens. So there were many other actors considered in case Peck ended up dropping out or didn't work out. William Holden was offered the part. You may remember him from Sunset Boulevard.
Yep.
He turned it down. He's like, I'm not doing a movie about the devil. And then when the movie came out, he was like, oh shit, I should have done that movie with the devil. So guess who starred in Omen 2?
I'm assuming he did.
Yeah, he did. Playing Robert Thorne's brother, Richard. Good old Dick Thorne. Charlton Heston was offered the role. He turned it down because he didn't want to spend winter in England. He's like, nah.
Hey.
He also thought this film had quite the potential to be exploitative, and he was right. And the guy who's the head of the NRA can't be doing a movie about the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider, Charles Bronson, and Dick Van Dyke were all approached.
Dick Van Dyke, I love him, but no.
Yeah, he took one look at the script and was like, "Oh my god, no, this is horrible. I would never do something like this."
He looked at the script and he was like, "Are you sure you meant to give this to me?" I was in Mary Poppins. You okay?
My name may be Penis Van Lesbian, but I would never do something like that. Harvey Stevens was cast as Damien. He beat out over 500 English kids because Harvey was the only one who really went for it in the audition. So the audition was basically the scene where Damien freaks out in the car outside the church. And he was told, that's the director, attack him. And a lot of other kids just walked up and like, kicked him in the leg. It was like, yeah, you bad man, get him. Harvey ran at Richard Donner, started clawing him in the face, and kicked him in the balls.
Yep.
As Donner's like cradling his goods, he's like, you got the role. I thought that was hilarious. Like, oh, that's the guy? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Come here, you little fucking piece of shit.
And scene. Oh my god. The film came out during a time when people largely were not taking biblical lore as seriously in mass as they had in the West in the past. People were starting to grow up. And of course, the satanic panic of the 80s was about to rear its ugly head, but that was largely headed by ignorant assholes who think the monsters under their bed are real and trying to rape their kids.
Hmm.
So that was a small fraction of the populace, but once the evangelicals got into politics, it all went to hell, and we're still suffering with the repercussions of that now.
Absolutely.
Uh, I thought this was interesting. Film critic John Kenneth Muir wrote about the film, quote, "What if the Bible is correct? What if all the signs of the apocalypse are happening around about now? Would we believe them? Heck, would we even notice?" I don't know. Everything, it seems like there's an unprecedented global catastrophe every other day.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we would notice, honestly, just because well, I mean, we would notice like we notice everything. Someone would be like, this is the end of the world. It's been foretold. And everyone's like, no, it's not. But then it actually is.
What would happen is the Antichrist would appear in the middle of like the Vatican. He would blow up the Sistine Chapel or something and be like, "Hear me, it is the time of the devil." And everyone would just take out their phone and start filming it. And he
Damn,
would be
bro.
irritated that no one's paying attention to him.
Canceled. Get out of here.
There would be,
Loser.
there would be assholes canceling the Antichrist. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. We'd have it.
President Trump, please save us.
Oh my God. If anybody's the Antichrist, it's the asshole selling autographed Bibles to cover his trial costs.
Yeah.
Ugh. I did see somebody, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, but I've talked about this in private because I find it hilarious. I saw this guy posting a autographed Bible on eBay for like $2,000 and it said like "Stay loose, God." I thought that was the funniest shit. I hope somebody buys that.
That's great. I love that.
Uh, The Omen was a big hit despite initial mixed reviews from critics. It was one thing to look at a child spewing hateful words and vomiting green shit on a priest, but to have an English kid smile, that's too much.
Oh,
It grossed 60 million on a budget of 2.8 million, so for 1976, that's pretty good.
nice.
It was nominated for 2 Oscars at the 49th Academy Awards, winning one. It took home Best Original Score for composer Jerry Goldsmith, and it was nominated for Best Original Song for Ave Satani, which lost to Evergreen from A Star Is Born. And
Mm,
Ave Satani translates in English to Hail Satan. So
nice.
they weren't
Oh,
going to give that an Oscar.
mm,
But hey, the score is amazing. The score is my favorite thing about The Omen. It's so eerie. It's the Gregorian chanting. It's the
mhm.
eerie, ominous, like what is about to happen music. Love
Yeah.
that. The Omen has an IMDb score of 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes score of 84%, audience score of 81%. Critics' consensus reads, "The Omen eschews an excessive gore in favor of ramping up the suspense." No, no, it doesn't. And creates an enduring, dread-soaked horror classic along the way. Tell me any moment in this movie where there's blood. In the decapitation, there's no blood.
Yeah.
There's no gore in this movie. I don't know what those people were smoking.
Mhm.
So before we get into the Omen proper, I do want to discuss something that is very particular to the Omen and several other films. So certain productions have been called cursed in the past due to a weird number of strange incidences that happen on the set, that many of which are unexplainable. The Omen is one of those films. I have an article from a Collider that describes pretty much all the weird shit that happened on the set of The Omen. So I'm going to let you know I want to hear what you think. If you think all of this is just coincidental, or if you think Satan was a little pissed that they were making a movie about his little buddy and was letting them know that. So here's I'll just go through them. There's really no way to segue into this. It's just so weird, and we need to talk about it. So Gregory Peck was flying to London, and during the flight, his plane got struck by lightning.
Huh. Okay.
Kind of weird, but it happens.
Yeah.
Then executive producer Mace Neufeld, on the way to LA, his plane struck by lightning. Different plane.
Okay.
That's twice in a few weeks. Then we're not done with the planes. Writer David Seltzer, his plane struck by lightning.
Wow.
Filming in Rome, lightning almost struck producer Harvey Bernhard on set. So, four separate times from people connected directly to the Omen's production were struck by lightning or almost struck by lightning.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Um, that's one. That's just one segment of the weird shit that happened here. So they were planning to film an action scene, which got delayed, and that happens. So Gregory Peck was not needed on the set. So a private jet that the crew was going to charter to bring Peck in was not necessary. The next day, that plane that they were going to book for Gregory Peck hit a flock of birds and crashed. Everyone on board was killed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And if that's not enough, the plane landed on a car, killed everyone in that car.
Holy fuck, dude.
The people in the car were the wife and two children of the pilot.
Holy fuck,
This is
dude.
all true. All of this shit's been verified.
And then the next day, wouldn't you know it, Malaysian flight 134. I'm just kidding.
Uh, I got more.
No fucking way.
I got a lot more.
Okay.
So, Mace Neufeld, the producer whose plane was struck by lightning, he was planning to eat at a restaurant nearby the set, but there were no seats available. So, real quick, before we go further into it, we just had the recording randomly stopped working due to probably an internet connection instability on one of our Zooms, but the whole thing shut down and came back, and I just found it poetic that that happened in the middle of the explanation of the cursed production of the Omen. So that's fantastic. I haven't had that happen on one of these in a very long time. So that's eerie.
Oh God.
Okay, so anyway, Mace Neufeld was going to eat at a restaurant nearby. There were no seats available because it had just been blown up by the IRA.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. Also, Richard Donner's hotel that he was staying at that got bombed as well.
Hmm.
Uh, Here we go. Now let's talk about the animals. So they used Rottweilers, baboons. There was a lion involved in the movie, and working with animals is dangerous, especially
There's a lion?
uh, when they were at the zoo.
Oh, okay.
Rottweilers were used to portray the hellhounds. They would often attack their trainers. Stuntman Terry Walsh was seriously injured by one of these Rottweilers. Um, the baboons were particularly vicious, and the scene where they're driving through the zoo and the baboons kind of look at them and freak out. Uh, they freaked out a little too much, and the actors were legitimately scared because the baboons were going off script.
Oh my God.
The zookeeper, when they were filming, hold on, wait a minute, the day after the, oh yeah, oh shit, I thought that was a scene in the movie that really happened. So the zookeeper that they were, who was running the zoo that they were filming at, was killed by the lion.
Oh my God.
Some sources say it was a tiger, but the zookeeper was killed by a large cat. And if you don't think if you think all of that was freaky, but a huge series of explainable coincidences, buckle the fuck up. I want to hear you try to explain this.
Okay.
Liz Moore was the assistant to the special effects designer John Richardson. They were driving through the Netherlands and they were in a horrific car accident. Richardson escaped with minor injuries. Liz Moore was decapitated by a tire that smashed into their car. There's a decapitation scene in the movie as well. Here's the kicker. The accident occurred on Friday the 13th, August 1976. And there was a road sign near the accident that indicated they were 66.6 kilometers away from a town called Omen. Weird.
So I would like to I like to revise my statement saying the devil does not exist.
66.6 kilometers from the town of Omen. Oh, the assistant to the production to the special effects designer was decapitated. What the fuck is that?
That's
It's hard to
ridiculous. That's insane.
that's hard to not. I mean, I'm a diehard atheist, but if that happened to me, I'd start like maybe reconsidering some shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Yep.
God. What a weird. And that's just the first movie.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
there was some shit that happened on the set of the remake as well. Two different camera crews in two different locations had the exact same technical difficulties with some footage they filmed. Uh, and then actor Pete Postlethwaite, who played, or no, the brother of Pete Postlethwaite, who played the priest in the remake, he died after being dealt three sixes in a game of poker.
Oh my God.
Oh boy, yeah. So the Omen, maybe I can't wait to hear what the hell happened on the set of the new one. I'm sure it was something weird, but yeah, how crazy.
At what point are you like, hey, let's like stop production? Yeah.
Oh no, dude, actual death doesn't stop production.
That's
Once a studio is paying for a movie, it will be finished, and at that point, they will shelve it and never speak of it again.
yeah.
That's happened a couple
Warner
times.
Brother.
Yep, Warner Brothers. Thankfully, this was Fox. They followed through with their bullshit. So let's talk the sequels. There's a number of Omen movies. There is one good one, and it is the one we're talking about today. I can verify this. I watched all of these to prep, and I was disappointed every single time. 1978's Damien, Omen 2. So right out the gate, I don't like the subtitle to be before the movie
Yeah.
title. Like Lost World Jurassic Park. I don't like that. How about just Jurassic Park, The Lost World? What's so,
Hmm.
Omen 2, Damien. It's not that hard. All right. Now that's out of the way. This movie follows a 12-year-old Damien who's in a military academy living with his father's brother, who's running a very profitable company, Thorn Industries.
Mm.
And Damien overhears some people saying that he's the Antichrist and is like, "Oh my God, why me? Why must I have this power?" But then 10 minutes later, he's like, "I'm going to kill all my enemies." So he gets over
Okay.
it pretty quickly. Kills his stepbrother by giving him an aneurysm. Is a very dark scene.
Wow.
Oh
Love
yeah.
that.
hmm this is the best of the sequels. It's not great. It's got some moments, but
Mm.
doesn't doesn't hold up. Just doesn't hold up. Omen 3, The Final Conflict, stars Sam Neill as grown-up Damien Thorne. Uh, he did a good job, but also they tried to just call this movie The Final Conflict. They tried to take Omen 3 off of it. I don't know why.
Why?
Many posters and even the film's opening credits just call it The Final Conflict.
Okay. All
I don't know
right.
what can be gained by doing that. X-Men tried to do the same shit with Dark Phoenix. They just called it Dark Phoenix, and it was terrible. Um, so grown up Damien Thorne is now running Thorne Industries. He's a billionaire, uh, humanitarian. Everyone in his inner circle knows he's the Antichrist and is preparing him, his ascension. The president appoints him the ambassador to the United Kingdom, just like his father. And Damien, I'm trying to remember, like I kind of zoned out in this one. Damien finds out that not only is the Antichrist has to defeat the Christ child. Like he has to beat the second coming of Jesus Christ in order to conquer Earth. And he's a little freaked out by that. So he has every newborn kid he can find slaughtered,
Oh my God.
except for one. And guess who that is?
Jesus.
Yeah. Uh, ultimately, Damien dies in disgrace while looking like while Jesus walks up to him and is basically like, "Checkmate, fool." And peace on earth happens. He didn't even get to fight Jesus. He gets killed by some woman who he wronged.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Omen 4, The Awakening. This was a TV movie because they decided we're going to move this thing to TV, particularly cable, into a series of films on TV. And nobody wanted that. They made one and they were like, well, that was a huge fuck up. I guess we're not making any more. It follows a new Antichrist. Her name is Delia. She's a little girl who's adopted by this loving family. And they later find out that her biological father, guess who? Damien Thorne.
Damien. Well,
Yep, he was porking it up in Omen 3 and had this kid. And this kid has a twin brother inside of her
okay.
as per a very rare medical condition. They could have done this differently. And that little kid is the Antichrist. Delia is the protector of this little twin brother new baby. Fuck it. I don't know. Made for TV in 1991. So
Oh
how
my
good do you
goodness.
think it really is? Then there was radio silence until somebody thought, oh my God, we should drop an Omen on June 6th, 2006. So they did. They remade it in 2006. And I remember, dude,
My God. Not
everyone,
good.
it's just the same movie. Like they didn't do anything differently. They didn't change anything. They didn't add anything. It's the same screenplay. David Seltzer wrote this one too. But I remember everyone freaking the hell out in
Hmm.
2006, being like, it's the apocalypse, 666, the Antichrist, the number of the beast, blah, blah, blah. And then it was a Friday. And then, people went to work on Monday. And I bet a lot of people felt like idiots.
Yeah.
Um, Liev Schreiber plays Robert Thorne. Julia Stiles plays Kathy.
Hmm.
Some English kid plays Damien. Um, Pete Postlethwaite plays the priest. David Thewlis plays Jennings, the photographer.
Oh,
Lupin from Harry Potter,
yeah.
and Michael Gambon, Dumbledore, plays Bugenhagen.
Bugenhagen.
Yeah,
What a name.
I know. What was his first name? Like Chris or something? I'm gonna real quick. I gotta look that up because it was like you can't have a name like that and just have a normal first name. Carl. It was Carl.
My God.
Carl Bugenhagen. Oh, that's hilarious. Um, and then we have a new one coming out this Friday. Oh wait, before that, my apologies, got ahead of myself. There was a TV show briefly in 2016.
Hmm.
Damien, they called it. And this followed a 30-year-old Damien Thorne learning about his destiny as the Antichrist, which is a cool idea for a show, kind of a,
Yeah.
conflicted protagonist. Maybe he doesn't want to be the Antichrist, but, fate overcomes, but we'll never know because it lasted a single season of 10 episodes. On A&E, did not do well. It's got a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Bradley James played Damien, and I can't tell you anything else that guy was in. So, uh, and now this Friday, the first Omen, a prequel that's been in production hell for quite some time. I remember seeing this on IMDb for years. Is finally happening. It looks promising.
Yeah.
Fan response is pretty good. It looks like they're taking this seriously. It's a cool idea, exploring Damien's mother, I assume, his real
No.
mother. Not, I think the jackal was a misdirect.
Mm.
Um, I guess we'll find out. Or maybe this is maybe she births the jackal. I don't know. I have no idea what this is going to be.
I'm excited.
Me too. The trailer was very eerie. It was all filmed backwards. I really respected that.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah. In a time when we have been getting really shitty reimaginings of our favorite horror movies, what with Halloween Ends and The Exorcist Believer, it would be nice to get a good one.
Yeah.
Um, and there we go. That's the Omen franchise as it stands today. So with that, let's take a look at some scene or some stuff from the actual Omen 76, the good one. We have best scene, best performance, best music, and best line. Where would you like to start?
Let's do best scene because I took notes. Actually, let's do music. I want to highlight the music first, I think.
Okay. Um, I absolutely have for me, it's Ave Satani is one of my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yep.
It's on my iPod. I listen to that in leisure. I love that song. It's so creepy. I love
Yep.
it. Jerry Goldsmith had to hire a choir and basically said, like, so we're gonna be praising the devil. I hope everybody's okay with that.
My God, it's so good. It's the opening credits. It plays throughout the entire movie, and every time it does, just got chills, man.
It's in the Omen 4 as well. That's the only sequel it appeared the song appeared in.
Mhm.
And I was at that moment, I was like, now you give a shit. Um, but yeah, Abe Satani is fantastic. My other favorite music moment is when Mrs. Baylock kills Kathy. I
I wrote
kind of
that down too. Yeah.
so the original idea for Mrs. Baylock was going to be more. She was going to be this kind of kindly English nanny, possibly Irish, who was very much like, I'm here to protect your child and everything's going to be fine. She was going to be so nice. There was no way she was going to be a disciple of Satan. But Billy Whitelaw, who played the character, came in and was like, what if I'm just horrible from the get-go? What if they know from the start that I'm a monster? And they were like, yeah, okay. In that scene, I feel like in the original script, that scene was the moment where you realized, oh, Mrs. Baylock's a devil.
Yeah.
Because it's played like that. The music kicks in, like the choir, and she's just mad dogging Kathy. You
Yeah.
know exactly what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to happen, but you know Kathy's not making it out of that room alive.
Nope. Man. Yeah.
Also, Billy Whitelaw would later play the woman who owns the inn in Hot Fuzz.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Fascist. That woman. That's her.
That's so funny. That's so good.
Yeah, love that.
Um, I wrote there's a little piece of music that plays. It's basically when she's basically telling her husband, "Hey, I don't ever want to have kids again because this kid is fucking scaring me." It's just a little piece of piano music that's like sad but also like eerie and just fit really well. I liked it.
That was good. Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith was a master of his craft. The Omen, the original Star Trek theme, the movie theme was his. The Mummy was
Oh,
his.
nice.
Yeah, he was great. Mulan, that was him. Like he's good. He did a lot of amazing films, but The Omen might be his masterpiece.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. All right, where do you want to go next? Let's go to performance.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, who wins this movie in terms of performance?
Gregory Peck. It honestly for me, this is gonna be weird, but it was between Lee Remick and Gregory Peck, just because I felt so bad for her.
Yeah, she's the only real victim in this movie.
She really is, yeah.
I mean, all she wanted was to have a child and raise the child, but nope.
Yeah.
To
But
have
no,
that, to have
um,
that decision taken away from you and never
yeah.
know about it is so frightening. I can't imagine.
Um, but Gregory Peck, like I said earlier, his performance of just like being the stoic, you know, traditional man of the time period and watching that slowly deteriorate and crack and watching him kind of just going crazy until he literally drags his kid to the altar.
When he's just like breaking down, he's like, I don't know whose child I'm raising. Like
Yeah.
finally coming to terms with the probably something he's been festering over for Damien's entire
Hmm.
childhood, and now having to face the consequences of those actions. Yeah, I have Gregory Peck as well.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Peck's just I've always thought he was fantastic, but in this movie, he's playing so against type, it's almost nauseating. And I love how devoted he is to he if it was anybody else, I feel like we would hate Robert Thorne for
Yeah.
what he's done.
I
But
think so.
Peck was just, it's almost like America's grandpa making a mistake.
Yeah. A big fucking mistake too.
Yeah. Um, I had Billy Whitelaw written down. I just think Mrs. Baylock is such a great character, but she's not in the movie enough
Yeah.
to warrant taking this from Peck. I would also consider David Warner, who plays Jennings. I've always liked David Warner.
Yeah. I like his character because at that first I thought he was going to be like a dickhead, like try to blackmail him,
Yeah.
but now he ends up being his partner, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I love that. He's like, Mr. Thorne, if it's okay with you, I'd like to help you figure this out.
It's
Like,
like, why do you care? He's like, because I'm gonna die if I don't.
yeah. Ah,
Um, I also wrote down Harvey Stevens just because I usually don't like kids, but he was good. I wasn't annoyed by him. I was
nah.
scared.
Yeah, he did it, he did a good job just playing this. I don't, do you think in this movie, he's aware of what he is?
No, I just think no, I don't think so. Not yet.
I don't think he's aware of like being the Antichrist, but I do think that he knows he has power and he wants to hurt
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I agree with that.
freaky. Let's go to line. I don't have a lot written down for line.
Neither do I. There's not a lot.
I do want to shout the immortal classic, most iconic line from this movie, which is, "Look at me, Damien. It's all for you."
I was gonna say that. Yeah. Fuck, man.
God damn. And then just, whoop. I would have, what an out of nowhere, horrifying moment. I
Oh,
I
man.
love it. It's that one line, just "it's all for you," scares the shit out of my mom, and I will say it all the time just to freak her out, especially at birthday parties.
Yeah. Um, the beginning, the first line of the movie, the child is dead. He breathed for a moment, then he breathed no more. The child is dead, dead. The child is dead. At first I'm like, oh wow, like this person is like grieving and praying to God that, that it's sad. But now knowing that he killed the baby, he's praying to Satan.
I do think that is a weird way to tell somebody their child is dead, to just keep saying it over and over again. If I was Robert, I'd be like, "Oh my God, I get it. It's horrible, but I get it." Uh, I love that. I love that same scene. On this night, God has given you a son. Like, what a backhanded, like knowing what we know now. Like, no, it wasn't God. And
And he knew. He knew.
oh, the we never in the entirety of the franchise, we never really get to see the shadowy cabal orchestrating all of this to bring forth the Antichrist. And I feel like this new movie is finally going to show us those people.
Yeah,
And I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Ah,
Um, the fact that it also came, uh, oh fuck, a nun house. Help me.
none convent,
Yeah, thank you.
none house. Ah, um, one line I do have written down is from Mrs. Baylock. It's right when she meets Damien, and you just immediately sense this very weird tension when she's alone with him. And she
Mm,
says, at that point, you're just like, oh, another nanny to be killed off later in the movie. But no, at that point, when she says, "Have no fear, little one, I am here to protect thee," that you're
yeah.
like, oh shit.
No,
The agency did not send her.
no.
Satan! Satan sent her. Like, hey, Baylock, need you to look after my kid while I'm away.
I thought this was funny.
Yeah.
One of the photographers, actually, it's Keith Jennings. I think that says it. It's I don't know if we've got the heir to the Thorn Millions or Jesus Christ himself. You could not be farther from correct.
Fun fact about the decapitation sequence. So it was very tough to film that in the 70s, and David Warner kept his own severed head for a while as like a memento until he lost it in his divorce. I don't know why the hell his wife wanted the severed head. Feels like a personal slight. And
Yeah.
now I believe that head is in the collection of what's Greg Nicotero, special effects guy from The Walking Dead, and he's done a lot of really cool movies. He has a collection of severed heads, and I believe David Warner's is one of those heads.
Nice. That's cool. I like that.
Ah, imagine like bringing home a date and like, what are you into? Well, I collect severed heads from various movies. Wait, where are you going? Um, any other lines, or you want to move to scene?
We can go to scene.
Okay. Um, my favorite scene in this movie, and we've talked about it a couple times. It's the decapitation.
Mm,
Jennings, because it's like a Rube Goldberg machine of nightmare, because it's just like
yeah.
this happens and that moves the truck and that shoots the glass towards him and it's just yo, and his
Yep.
head just flips and
Yep.
it's so quick you almost don't register like what just happened.
Yep.
Holy shit, he's dead.
I kept waiting. Once I saw the photograph
Mm.
like that, I kept like thinking, like, okay, like what's gonna happen? And then as soon as he bent over, I was like, oh, he's gonna fucking car's gonna yep. And then it showed the truck, and I was like, okay.
One thing the remake did improve on, obviously, there's a 30 year difference between the two films, so the effects are considerably better.
Mm,
The decapitation sequence in the remake is really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, check out the remake then.
So is the priest's death in the remake. That's done better too. Because I love it in this, but it's like the poles behind him. We're not stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I wrote down the priest death because I thought it was just so fucking funny that a pole just came flying off and impaled the dude. That's funny. But I actually took the note here because I know that it was supposed to be a toy, but for a split second, they're like walking in the park and the mom is dragging a dog on wheels. All I wrote was the dog on wheels! Exclamation point. Because I was like, is that supposed to be like a real dog? And like they just didn't want to hire like a dog trainer to like have a dog.
Right up there with the American Sniper fake baby.
Yep, yep.
That's
Yep.
funny. I find it funny that Mrs. Baylock just takes so many liberties, like forgets that like you're supposed to be incognito here. Like
Yeah.
maybe stop, pissing off the parents of the Antichrist.
Yeah. Okay, can you have my son ready for church? No. Fuck you.
Too young for church.
Yeah.
This is his dog now. Like, lady, what do you think's gonna happen here?
Yeah.
I love the scene where Damien freaks out at the church.
Yeah, it's good.
Just, oh my God, just losing his goddamn mind, scratching his mom, and they're just like, drive, drive, drive. Like, so, oh, yeah, crazy.
Oh.
Good rule of thumb. You're taking your kid to church and they panic like that. Your next stop should be a firehouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wrote, suicide is badass. When the old lady hangs herself.
Suicide is badass.
Suicide is badass. Yep.
That's a it's always sunny in Philadelphia reference for those of you who don't know. Oh, that's fantastic. Um, yeah, that scene is just, it's the smile. It's the look what I'm doing this for you, Damien. Way to go.
Mhm.
Happy birthday, buddy. And then
Mhm.
hang yourself on in front of a clown and a bunch of children.
Yep. Yeah, that was a
Also,
random clown. Yeah.
yeah, hell of a birthday party. Way to go.
Right? Yeah.
I never had an amusement park put in my backyard for my birthday.
Yeah.
Can you
I thought it
imagine?
was
Can you imagine being like you were a kid at that birthday party? Like you're just some kid and you're like, when you're 20, you're like, dude, Nanny hung herself at this weird kid's birthday party I
yeah.
went to when I was 5. Something was off with that kid. I don't know what it was, but like
Yeah.
something was weird.
I also thought it was funny when because I don't think before the scene we like know what he does for a living, but when he like walks into his house and he has like his wallpaper is like the construction of the Colosseum for some reason. But when he walks home, he's like, "Hey, honey, guess who the new ambassador for Great Britain is?" I was just taken aback for a second. I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That's cool."
It's a little forced. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Guess what? I am important.
Yeah. Surprise! I am in charge.
The way that unfolds in the remakes actually a little better too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, another layer of guilt for Robert Thorne.
Mm,
Yeah, I gave the remake 3 stars. It's a decent movie. It's just the same movie. It doesn't take any risks. Which, if you're gonna remake a classic, you got to do something a little different. Otherwise, you're just, repainting the Mona Lisa, which means like, yeah, you painted the Mona Lisa, but you didn't come up with it.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, well, with that, unless there's any other scenes you want to. Oh, there's one more scene I want to shout. Um, the graveyard when they finally realize
Yeah.
that everything's true.
Yeah.
First they find the body of the jackal, and then the body of Robert Thorne's actual child, who had his skull smashed in as soon as he was
Mhm.
born. and then he realizes everyone lied to him, all of them, to
Yep.
get Damien Thorne in his house.
Hmm.
God.
Um, yeah, just when he's dragging Damien into the church. That was intense. Yeah.
Dude, when he has the like, don't hurt me, daddy.
It's like
What you doing, daddy?
because for a split second, like, yeah, he has the birthmark. Like, I know that he's the Antichrist. But like in that split second, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
you
This
know,
is still his son. He raised this is the
it's
son he
still his
raised.
son. Because it is he the Antichrist, or is it just someone that has the potential to become the Antichrist?
I mean, even so, I mean, you still get the
Yeah, but like,
dagger.
could you could you fix him? Like, could you raise him to not be the Antichrist, Or will is he inherently evil? Is he always going to?
Well, that's this is the ultimate nature versus nurture question, isn't it? Like, can you take, something as inherently evil as the Antichrist and give them a good home and loving support? Would they
Yeah.
grow up to be the Antichrist?
Hmm.
That's a damn good question. And actually pretty similar to a short story idea I had.
Oh, really?
It was about this guy who the basic idea is this person, like the Antichrist, has a head injury and forgets they're the Antichrist
Oh,
and learns about it, but decides like, well, I don't. That's horrible. Why would I want to do that?
yeah.
And the devil's like, well, because you have to. And he's like, no, I don't. I don't know who that was, but
Huh.
that's not me anymore. And I thought, like, what if, what if evil can be erased?
Yeah. That's cool. I really like that.
Yeah. Nobody take that. That's mine. TM 2024. Um, with that, let's take a look at what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment, What's in the Box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
The Omen has a 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Pretty good. I gave it 4.5 out of
Yeah.
5 stars for me. I love this movie.
I'll take four.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 5 reviews here. All are hilarious. Some are positive, some are negative. All are pretty short. This first one's from Morgan. Honestly, that's a reasonable reaction to being forced to go to church. 3 stars.
Good.
The next one's from Evan. It's shit like this that makes me ask myself, do I really want to be a parent? 3.5 stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
There's certain movies, certain horror films, especially that every person who wants to be a parent should have to watch.
Oh my God. What is it? There's something about Thomas? Or we need to
Oh,
talk about Kevin.
we need to talk about Kevin, Rosemary's Baby, The
Yeah.
Omen, It's Alive.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Just worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Not everyone's kid's going to be the Antichrist. Odds are just one of us. Um, this one's from Michelle. Half a star because I cried all throughout my baptism, and this movie has been referenced to me nonstop since then.
That's great. I love that.
In The World's End, one of the characters is nicknamed Oman because he has a birthmark on his forehead in the six.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And I love that. Uh, this one's from Fervinowitz, Frvrnlwys. So Fervor, I don't know. 2 hour condom ad, 1.5 stars.
That's great. I
It,
saw there's a commercial for condoms, Trojan condoms, and all the commercial was a couple sitting on the couch, and they look like so tired. They're like disgusting. Their hair's messed up, and there are two kids just running around them screaming, like covered in paint and like throwing shit. And then that's all it is. It's them just sitting there, kids running around screaming, and then it fades to black and it just says Trojan.com.
that's perfect.
What more do you need?
My favorite condom ad ever was this guy walks. I don't think this made it to TV, or if it did, it was short lived. This guy's walking into his girlfriend's house. He goes upstairs to the bedroom, and his girlfriend's sister is in really sexy lingerie sitting on the bed and tells him she doesn't have to know. So he runs out of the house, bolts to the car. His girlfriend is in the backseat of the car and is like, "Oh my God, you passed the test. I love you so much." And they start laughing and he starts laughing. And you just see the camera pan over to the glove box that he's shutting. And there's condoms in the glove box.
Oh my God. I love that.
Uh, this last one is from Tova Hirsch. And this had me just laughing like, are you serious? 1.5 stars. Too Christian.
Okay.
The movie about the Catholic Antichrist is too Christian.
I love that.
Yeah, some people just don't understand. I don't. It must be nice to live in such a little bubble where the world outside is inconsequential to you. As long as everything that happens in here is soft and friendly,
Yeah.
nothing else matters. That must be nice.
Yep. Exactly. I actually have a pretty funny Google review that
Yeah.
I thought was just funny. It's 1 star. It's by Alex. It says, Allah would not approve. Bad omens. Inaccurate description of how cults are run. I would have preferred a milking scene to increase intimacy. Felt as if the storyline was rushed and could have focused on more prominent cults like the KKK or the Nazi Party. Bad graphics.
Where, pray tell, would one insert said milking scene? And what?
Just we don't have any furniture in the house. We do have a table, and then cut to just
I mean, are we thinking about the same kind of milking here?
yeah, it's like when you lay on a table.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because
Okay, yeah.
is he talking about that kind of milking?
I think so. I hope so.
Because if out of nowhere in the middle of the Omen, suddenly Lee Remick is just polishing off Gregory Peck, I mean, cool. I'm sure that was fun to film, but why is it here? What the hell? Allah would not approve. Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
God.
Love it.
How does the Klan and the Nazis fit into this exactly?
I don't know. He said he wanted to see how cults are actually run, like the KKK and Nazi Party, but those aren't technically cults.
I mean,
They kind of are, I guess. Yeah.
there's an argument there, but I don't see how they would relevantly fit into this movie.
Yeah. No.
This person this person wants to talk about certain things like the Klan, the Nazis, and milking,
Yeah.
but has no avenue for it.
Yeah.
It's like that friend who like shows up with a new car and you don't bring it up, but they are constantly just alluding to their like new car, and you won't bite. You don't want to talk about their new car, but they won't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, so weird. Well, that was funny. That guy was delusional.
Yeah.
Alex, I hope you find the milking movie you need. Well, that's our show. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to watch, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through any of our socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You can search for me at Connor95, and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out our website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to my Letterboxd if you want to read reviews. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, in every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and all donations go right back into the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions to the show. Thanks to Cooley Cal for our awesome theme music, and thanks to you for checking it out. Next week, we tackle another found footage film, one that I feel has never gotten the attention it deserves. With the release of the bizarre but promising film Sasquatch Sunset next week, I wanted to stay in Bigfoot mode. When a couple going through some issues travels to Sasquatch country in Northern California to track down the location of the infamous Patterson Gimlin footage, they end up lost in the woods and hunted by the very creature they hope to catch on film in the 2013 film Willow Creek. This movie really gets under my skin. I'm very excited to discuss it, and I can't wait.
I'm interested to see how Bigfoot is construed as horror. So I'm excited.
It's I won't spoil it, but I found the approach they took particularly creepy and freaky. It's directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, comedian turned director. We'll talk a bit about him next week, but yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
Also next week, Monday, April 8th, Austin and I will be launching a brand new podcast on its own feed, completely independent of Filmgazm. The show is called Worth Its Weight in Gold, and it will focus on movies and individuals that have been honored by the Academy Awards. Essentially, we're bringing back Oscar Sunday with a fresh coat of paint and renewed vigor. Our first episode focuses on the career of Oscar-winning actor Burt Lancaster. We recorded it last weekend, and we're very proud of what this show is going to be. Don't miss it every Monday. Yeah, Austin and I we've been talking about this behind the scenes for quite some time. We both were in the same headspace of like we missed those conversations. We wanted to rejuvenate them, and that's what we did. So we talked about Burt Lancaster for about an hour 45, and it's really fun.
Hell yeah.
On that note, woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666. Revelations 13:18. Take it easy. Keep watching movies. And we'll see you next time.